All right, before we go too far, I just want to play you this initial clip here.
Mr. Speaker, the United Kingdom was not involved in the initial strikes on Iran by the US and Israel. That decision was deliberate. We believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement in which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon and ceases its destabilizing activity across.
So you heard him. We weren't involved in the initial strikes against Iran. That decision was deliberate. I think that was very carefully worded. I believe, and this is only my opinion, you didn't have the first idea that these strikes were going to actually happen. That's what I believe. I believe that you weren't involved in them because America doesn't trust you. That's what I believe. The other thing as well is that there is more going on with the nuts and bolts of this. Remember what I said in other videos about looking under the hood of the car than we're being told by the mainstream media. And all of those things combined mean that you didn't know anything about it. Now, the next clip is quite an interesting one, shall we say. So I'll read this to you. It's Keir Starmer hits back at Donald Trump's criticism of the UK not getting involved in the strikes on Iran. It's my duty to judge what's in Britain's national interest. Okay, let's have a listen to this.
President Trump has expressed his disagreement with our decision not to get involved in the initial strikes. But it is my duty to judge what is in Britain's national interest. That is what I've done, and I stand by it.
So he's turned around and basically said it's his duty to judge what's in Britain's best interest. That's what he's done, and he stands by it. Now, where he says not getting involved in the way he spun that, I think moreover, it's more to the fact of you're not allowing or you've not allowed America to use military bases that you've previously let them use here. Military base in Diego Garcia and probably other assets as well. And he's got the ump, and he said very disappointed. Now, in that Starmer has basically betrayed everyone. He's betrayed that special relationship because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And historically, when one's been attacked, the other has always come to their aid. But this has a different ring to it. And what's actually happening, Iran are literally launching stuff all over the place. Anywhere where there's any kind of British, American, or other influence, they're literally attacking all of it. I have a friend that lives in the United Arab Emirates, and he sent me some footage this morning. I just want to show you this. That is basically a 10-second piece of video. If I hit play, if it works. There's a couple of different scenes like that, and they hit a refinery in Saudi Arabia as well. I got sent some footage of that this morning. It's basically billowing smoke all over the place. It's a crazy situation. Now, I want to play. Let me get this up here. There is an excerpt which the BBC put on their feed. Our allies in Canada and Australia immediately backed the action taken by America. Kemi Badenoch tells MPs. Unbelievably, in his statement today, the Prime Minister cannot say if he backs the strikes or not, the Tory leader adds. So let's have a bit of a listen to this and see what Miss Badenoch has to say.
We stand in solidarity with our allies, including Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, who, along with others, have been on the receiving end of unprovoked aggression. On Saturday, our allies, the United States and Israel, took targeted action against the Iranian regime, a regime which for decades has been brutally repressing its own citizens, whose leader had the blood of hundreds of thousands of Iranians on his hands and of countless others around the world killed by Iranian proxies. This regime is the world's foremost sponsor of international terrorism. It seeks to annihilate the world's only Jewish state. It has said so repeatedly, and we should take despots at their word. It is a regime whose apparatchiks chant death to Britain. It has attacked British nationals and conducted multiple plots on British soil, as the head of MI5 has warned. It is manufacturing drones en masse for Russia, drones which are raining down on innocent Ukrainians. And it continues to try to develop nuclear weapons in flagrant violation of international agreement, nuclear weapons which, if obtained, would be an existential threat for this country.
What she's talking about there, nuclear weapons, I don't think anybody really of the current generation that's alive now has even the most conceivable thought of the horrific circumstances of that ever coming to pass. If you look at old footage, and if you look at the test footage from World War II, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, all the rest of it, and multiply it up by a factor of a lot, that's the kind of thing you were dealing with. And it wouldn't just be one, it would be many. It would be many. Doesn't bear thinking about. But this is all rhetoric playing out, pure and utter rhetoric. But at the end of the day, firm decisions were made by certain countries. Yes, we support this effort. Our Prime Minister, blah, 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 blah. And it all goes back to the British. Believe you me, you have to look into this. You really do.
The outcome of Ayatollah Khamenei's death will, we hope, be a safer Middle East and a safer world, with the future of Iran back in the hands of the Iranian people. But
Ayatollah Khamenei will be one thing, a martyr to the cause. Someone will replace him. And also, I was reading that the way Iran is set up, if you cut off Tehran, if you actually pummel the capital city into a million pieces, it's set up so each sector, each region can operate independently. So I'm not so sure where this is going to head in the coming days, to be honest. If anyone can enlighten me or give any other facts, it'd be great.
But that outcome is not yet guaranteed. On Saturday, our allies in Canada and Australia immediately backed the action taken by America against this despotic regime in Tehran. And I have made it very clear that the Conservative Party also stands behind America taking this necessary action against state-sponsored terror.
The only reason she's saying the Conservative Party backs it is because the Labour Party have faffed it. Politics. Don't let that fool you.
But over the weekend, statements from the government and the Prime Minister provided no such clarity. It was only last night that the Prime Minister finally told us that the government would allow our allies the use of our own air bases, despite it being obvious that UK interests were under imminent threat. It took Iranian missiles hitting allies in the Gulf before he finally made a decision. And even after that, the Foreign Secretary said this morning that the government has put limits on the actions of our allies operating from our bases. Unbelievably, in his statement today, the Prime Minister still cannot say whether he backs the strikes or not. Today, the President of the United States has taken the extraordinary step of rebuking the Prime Minister publicly, saying he took far too long to grant access. We are told that this dither and delay is because of concerns over international law, but I am afraid that explanation simply does not hold. International law didn't prevent our allies from clearly and unequivocally stating whose side they were on. You don't need international law to say whose side you're on. It has not prevented British governments in the past from supporting strikes which we knew to be right. As the Shadow Attorney General has said, if the doctrines of international law are unable to restrain Iranian terrorism and mass murder, if they tie the hands of democracies while forcing us to stand and watch Iranian atrocities, international law will have failed. It will have become a fundamentally immoral system of law. Why is it that under this Prime Minister, international law always seems to be at odds with our national interest?
That's a very good point at the end, isn't it? How come international law always seems to be at odds with our national interest? It's always the fallback position, international law, where you've got the boats coming in, international law, where you've got other things, international law. That's always the excuse. At the end of the day, this country, for all of its faults, has influence and territory in many other places all over the world. And do we have a responsibility to protect that territory, particularly where we've got our own people there? I would say yes to a degree. And you look at how depleted our military is. You look at the dithering and messing around by Labour. It really doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well. You let me know what you think of all this in the comments. I mean, if you're out there, you want to get in touch with any footage or anything like that, send it through and I'll play it on the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share my stuff, and I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.